Welcome to the Typical Sportsman podcast. I've got a fun one. I've got Cameron Robson on, the king of stereotypes in the hunting industry. If you've seen him on social media, TikTok, Instagram, he does a lot of like what your camo says about you or what your bow or your gun or your ammo says about you. And so we cover tonight what your hunting podcast you listen to says about you. We also talk about how it's okay to be different. And something I actually really admire about Cameron is that, you know, he can say the funny stuff about what a brand, what that says about you or whatever, but he always brings it around to be a positive. And I actually told him, you know, there's been times where he's talking about what camo you wear and you know, he might say mossy oak bottomland and, you know, say some funny things about it and I'll, you know, get offended, but then it wraps around to be at the end and I'm like, yeah, that is me, you know, like I admire that because we all do enjoy different things and that's okay. We are all one community. We're all hunters, and it's all right to poke fun at each other and laugh at each other because there are benefits of all brands. There are good things about every brand. And so we dive into just that mentality of, you know, it's okay to be different. It's okay to shoot different things and wear different stuff. We don't have to be against each other because of that. And then we have a fun conversation about what the hunting podcast you listen to says about you. Guys, this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Blocker. It is one of my favorite times of the year, coyote hunting season. I love hunting coyotes. Thermal coyote hunting is a bit of an addiction. And predator hunting, man, you get into some crazy conditions. Hunting at night, you know, here in Kansas, you might be sitting in, you know, -10 with the wind blowing and the snow coming down just to shoot some dogs. Blocker makes incredible gear, but they make incredible gear that's super affordable, which is hard to find. They are also just kind of the king of turkey hunting. So as you gear up for turkey season, I would highly encourage you to check out Blocker Outdoors for the best in turkey hunting apparel. But guys, let's jump in with Cameron and find out what the hunting podcast you listen to says about you.
For the true sportsman, it's more than a pastime. It's a way of life. Embrace the lifestyle of hunting, fishing, and the thrill of the wild. Live the life. Be typical.
Guys, I absolutely love arrows. I'm an arrow enthusiast, an arrow junkie, if you will. Let me tell you why I love deer crossing archery. I love deer crossing archery for several reasons. They give me a phenomenal arrow at a great price. They custom build your arrows. So if you go on their website, if you're not an arrow builder, you can go on their website. You can select your vein colors. You can select your wrap colors, your knot colors. You can select the length you want your arrows cut to, what kind of outserts you want, total overall arrow weight, FOC. You can build all that on the website and get the exact arrow for you. Arrows are not one size fits all. We all have different needs, and deer crossing archery, they understand that. So I can select my shaft. I can select, you know, what ethics kit I want on that, what weight I want it cut to, what length I want the arrow cut to. It's a one-stop shop for building my arrows online. However, they simply just build really good arrows at a phenomenal price. Let me tell you about my favorite arrow. My favorite arrow is the Rupture Pro. Reason being, it's a phenomenal 204 diameter arrow at an unbeatable price. Again, I can get that with an ethics kit straight out of the box, so I can figure out what weight I want to run out front. I can get my FOC just right. That arrow is a perfect arrow for my recurves. I can tune them really well with that because, again, I can work with that ethics system. If I don't want to change all my broadheads out, I can work with that ethics system to really tune that arrow good to my bow. But they also just perform really, really, really well out of my compound. I have shot 12 animals now with a Rupture Pro. I just love the arrow. It's a phenomenal arrow build. And again, it's not going to break the bank. Guys, go to deercrossingarchery.com. Use code TYPICAL, all caps, typical, to save you some money on your order. But I promise you, you will not be disappointed when you build a set of arrows at Deer Crossing Archery. Go check them out. All right, Cameron, how the heck are you, man?
Dude, I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Man, too cold. Where are you from?
I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but I reside in Valdosta, Georgia. I'm about as close to Florida as you can get without being Florida.
So you ain't cold, I'll tell you that.
Ain't cold. It's a little chilly right now. We got this storm that came through, pushed some cold weather through, but
don't say cold weather. We did a podcast not too long ago, Scott Evans, bow talk.
Uh-huh.
And it was real late at night, and he had too many margaritas, and he was just talking about how cold it was. And I'm like, well, how cold is it? He's like, stinking like 41. And I'm like, dude, the wind chill here is negative 27 right now.
Like, oh, dude. Like, you don't understand. Like, we don't have our weather. Like, we don't have spring and fall.
Oh, I know.
It's just a week-long spring, summer, hell's front porch, and then a taste of fall, and then you just go straight into like somewhere between 30 degrees and 55.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do like that about Kansas. Like, it does get like real cold, but it also gets real hot. Like, we have 4 really defined seasons. And so I do like that. Like, I grew up in Arkansas, and, you know, we never had like bad winters. You know, we get a little snow here and there, but just never like it. And so I really like Kansas. Like, you can have a bad winter and feel like, you know, holy crap, how am I going to survive? Like, I like that though. I like having to go out and get firewood at 2 a.m. and, you know, keep the fire going and keep the house warm. I like that. But then I like when it gets 110 and I can go to the lake and have fun.
I bet you it's pretty nice for your hunting as well. Like, down here, gosh, I mean, you're timing, you know, your rut and everything of what you think the deer should be doing, and you're trying to time it with weather, and it just never seems to line up. Right.
Yeah. And I actually did a podcast a long time ago. I don't even think it was the bear archery days, with the QDMA, and they were talking about the rut, and they were like, if you time it right, there's deer somewhere in the world rutting all year long. Like, you go down to Mexico, they're not rutting until like February, March. And I'm like, really? And he's like, yeah, like there's deer, you know, there's ruts all year long, basically. Which like blows my mind, because I mean, even in Arkansas, it was, you know, sweet November. Yeah. And that's definitely how it is here. But, you know, you talk to some people and they're like, oh, I can't wait till January gets here to, you know, hunt the rut.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What?
Like, your Mississippi, Alabama guys, like, they're only a month is some change removed from their rut right now.
Yeah. That's crazy, dude.
And then 6 hours south of me, they rut in July.
Yeah. That's crazy, man.
November, like early November here. So it's nuts. I mean, like, we're talking, I don't know, 10 hours of driving. You've got July, November, January ruts.
Yeah. It's crazy, dude. Now I'm going to give you your title. And, I was kind of thinking, like, I like to introduce people like in funny ways, and, just had Scott backing on from Dialed and introduced him as the award winner for best hair in the industry for the last 2 years. So I'm like, how am I going to introduce Cameron? And the only thing I could come up with was king of stereotypes. Like, you nail him every time, dude. I can't tell you how many videos I've watched of yours where it's like what your camo says about you. And at first I'm like getting pissed, but then I'm like, well, he's right. Like, I mean, he nailed it spot on. Like that's me.
I'm never like coming after anybody. It is what it is. And I think most people react to it about the same. Like, you know, some people get super mad. You're going to have those comments. They actually are hurt. But that's what it is. Like, down here, like, there's certain brands, it's like a fashion statement. But then that is like the brand, huntable brand up north. Like, just the stereotype of different stuff is hilarious. But, yeah, I love making those.
That's actually what I really appreciate about you, is that it's not like, I mean, you could come out and make fun of people for what they shoot and what it says about them. But really you give like the benefits of what it says about you. And I do like that. And there's been times where I'm like, who does this guy think he is? And then I'm like spot on, man. He got me. Like, that's me.
I try and bring it full circle. I try and bring it all the way around. You know?
I'm like, he got me. He nailed me spot on. And, you know, he's like, you're probably bald and ugly. And I'm like, God dang, that's me, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude,
what started that? Like, where'd that idea come from?
I think it came from, so I'll bring it full circle. So, like, when I got into hunting, I was kind of raised into it in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, right? That's just part of the culture. Well, I didn't have any mentors. So, like, everything I've consumed about hunting, I've been observing others. Yeah. I didn't have like a father figure mentor to teach me to hunt. I didn't have a family member who took me. So everything I've consumed has just been from what I've perceived, or whether it be social media, videos, camp, other people I know. Like, I've just absorbed all of, you know, the personalities and what I've seen. So I do like put people, types of hunting, brands, gear, and just categories. And then I just run with it from there.
Yeah. Now, I didn't tell you this, but we're going to do it here in a minute. What your hunting podcast that you listen to says about you.
Oh yeah.
And we'll pick some people that we can be mean to. Cause I like to make fun of some of my buddies, but no, I've always liked those, man. And I was just kind of curious, like where that idea came from and what was the first one you did? Do you remember?
It was camo first. It was camo. Cause I started content creation in January of last year. And I kind of, you kind of figure out what you make and what works best for you. And I think it was camo. I think it was, I've done 2 renditions of that. I've done, my first, I think it was like 7 or 8 parts. And then I've gotten a lot better at making videos now. So it's hard for me to watch those first ones. So I think I redid them, leading into this deer season.
Yeah. Very cool, man. No, I remember when those came out and we had a conversation not too long ago, just kind of about media and, kind of how to make your way in that. And I think you found a niche, man. And I think you do really good at it. And like I said, I don't think that you don't ostracize people, which, could easily be done. I mean, you could easily make people feel, a certain way because of what they wear, what they shoot, where they hunt. I mean, and you don't do that. And I appreciate that because we can laugh and we can joke and we can say, well, I know you as a person because of what you wear, but we don't have to make that person feel bad because of what they wear, how they wear it, the patterns they like, because here's what I've learned, man. I've been all over the country and the patterns I make fun of, you go somewhere else and it's like, oh, everyone here wears that.
Dude, and it works perfectly for that area.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you go to Mississippi, Alabama, like, dude, there's Mossy Oak Bottomland. Like that's
everywhere you can see
that's the king, man. Then you go to Utah and it's all King's camo. And then you go, and so I used to be that way of like, why on earth would you ever wear this? But because of traveling and just being around other, hunting conventions and places like that, you're like, oh, everyone here wears that. Like that is what is prominent here. And so
absolutely.
I've just learned that, man. Like, who cares what you wear or why you wear it or what bow you shoot or why you shoot it? Like,
absolutely.
Just shoot it, man.
There's already so many people attacking like people in the hunting industry or just hunters in general. We already have so much going wrong for us.
Yeah.
But I also think a gross majority of us can poke fun at each other and we can take it.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's
sure.
I'm not putting you in a box and leaving you there. It's just good fun. It's stereotypes that we all know and acknowledge that we can just have fun with. But
absolutely. And that's why, like, I'll never stop making fun. Like, I was just at at ATA and somebody walks up and I always make fun of saddles. I call them tree diapers. And somebody walks up and says something about it. I'm like, dude, listen, I'm completely joking. I just think it's funny. Like I bash on turkey hunting and if you turkey hunt, you're stupid. Like,
oh Lord, I'm looking at both my turkey guns as we're speaking.
I'm not a turkey hunter. And so I just like to just poke at them and have fun with it. But at the same time, like I enjoy turkey hunting and I've hunted out of saddles. Like, again, like you said, it's all just in good fun. Like,
oh yeah.
And really that's part of the reason that I wanted to, untie myself from bear archery, because it being a brand specific podcast, like you just get that, like you get that from the outside source of like, oh, you're only bear archery. Like, no, I don't care what you shoot or how you shoot it or why you shoot it. Like, just shoot. Like, archery is the love of my life. And I don't care how you do it or why you do it. Just enjoy it with me, you know? You don't have to shoot the same thing to be my friend. You don't have to shoot the same thing to come on the podcast. Like, you don't have to just enjoy archery and the sport of hunting.
There's too many, we have so many weapons to take an animal now that if you're really that bent out of shape about the brand, the type, I mean, what are we really doing? I mean, we're coming at each other. You're just being hateful at that point. It just reminds me of, comments on social media. There's always going to be someone who can say something hateful. Dude, there's 1,000,001 brands out there and there's a new brand every day. So like, why are we wasting the breath or the time to lay into someone about what they're using, how they're doing it, as long as it's legal, ethical, what have we really been out of shape about?
Yeah, for sure, man. And that's what like, I've had this type of conversation with a lot of people, but I really like that you work on bridging that gap. Like,
yeah,
you can joke and say, different things about brands, but at the end of the day, like you said, you always bring it around. Like, there is good in every brand.
Oh yeah.
There are benefits in every brand. Like, man, there are so many.
If you run into me at any time, like that box full of camo, the Sitka, Mossio, like I will never have the same top and the same bottom on.
Oh, okay. Now we can't be friends. Like,
I've got most of it. I've got all of it. I'll get the pants that I like from Sitka, right? And I'll get a jacket I really like from Natural Gear or something. You'll never see me wearing the same thing.
Oh my gosh. I'm kind of a diva. Like,
you like it all to match?
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's gotta be pretty. Like, and what's funny is like, I wear a bunch of different brands. Like I love 2.0, wear a lot of 2.0, blocker, scent lock.
Yeah.
But like, if I'm wearing that stuff, I'm wearing that stuff. Like I don't
I
ever
understand.
like it just bugs me.
I think if I can, I will try. Turkey season more than deer season though. Deer season, it doesn't really bother me that much. Like I'm not even going to think about matching a set for deer season. I'm not too concerned. But turkey season, I have a lot of bottomlands, so I will stack my bottomlands on top of each other. I'll at least try and keep it one piece with an animal that can pick me out of the woods from hundreds of yards away,
See, now you're just weird. Like, now I think you're weird. Like, and it's funny because like this last season, like we went hard on the mountain, like for my last elk hunt. But even then, it's like when you wake up, it's like if I'm putting on 2.0 pants, I'm putting on a 2.0 top. Like,
yeah,
I'm not crossing that. I don't know. And I always joke and say like hunters are like, for being big bad men who are like, what's funny is like I'll go to church and I'll be wearing like stripes and polka dots like that don't match at all, and but then when it comes to my camo, I'm like, nah, I'm a kind of a diva when it comes. I
understand. To that. Yeah, I totally get it. Like you got a new set, you want to rock your new set, your matching set. Kind of when you want to strut that stuff. I mean, you're kind of excited to rock that new stuff.
Yeah, I'm just we're divas, man. Like. And it makes my wife laugh because even like on my bows, like if I get a new bow, it's like, I got to order new accessories. And she's like, why? I'm like, because the old ones, they were desert tan. This is a black bow. Like I gotta
color coordinate my strings. Everything has to match.
Yeah. So what's next for what your brand says about you?
Man, well, we're easing into turkey season. And the what your, I think I just did shells here recently. I'm probably going to lean into, I really want to lean into turkey guns, man, but it's tough. Doing that with TikTok being my like hardest hitting platform.
Yeah, for sure.
It's tough to do that. There have been some times where I've made content like strictly for Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and then just carried on with something different for TikTok. It's a very frustrating thing. Like for guys in our space, I'm sure you get it too. Like, you could even talk about a certain subject and TikTok's not going to have it. They're either going to throttle your views down or they're just not going to allow them. They're going to block the video entirely.
Yeah.
But I'd like to do turkey guns.
I'm new on TikTok. Like I just, recently got on TikTok and it was super frustrating because at first you're like, what can I post and what can't I post? Like,
yep. Well, I
kept getting flagged for different stuff.
Line. There isn't a line.
Yeah. Which is crazy. Like I figured out, don't put anything dead in the post at all. Like
no blood. I don't even know where the line is really. I made the first couple of videos on what your hunting shell or hunting cartridge says about you. Well, the first one did great for like 30 minutes and then they took it down. Well, then I appealed it. They restored the video because for whatever they took it down it wasn't valid. And then they took it down again. They just said it was bullying or something.
Now, I might make a lot of people mad here. And if I make you mad, then it was going to happen eventually. Here's what makes me mad about social media. The fact that I get flagged for a bow or a gun or an animal being shot or whatever but yet you can have half naked women dancing on there. And it's like, really? Like what's causing more damage here? Like,
exactly.
If my kid is scrolling social media, like, I can't think of anybody in the world that would rather be like, I would rather my son be shown borderline pornography than somebody shooting a gun.
I would much rather my son or daughter see someone whack a buck at 20 yards with a bow than see some half naked, pretty much fully naked woman on the internet.
And I can't even and this is where I can't even draw the line. Even if you're a non-hunter and you don't want your kid to see hunting, like, that's cool. But where do you get off saying, well, I want them to see half naked women? Like, that's a go, you know?
It's, I don't know. I just don't know. It's censoring. And I don't think there's like an overall best censor on any of them, because while, Instagram, you can get away with a lot more, like on the hunting space, but then there's also a lot more of that, explicit stuff. TikTok, you can't get away with like anything hunting, but there's a ton of explicit stuff. YouTube and Facebook, a little bit better, but I don't know. It's politics. That's all it is.
Yeah, it's stupid too. That's why I don't get involved with them. So what hunting podcast are you most familiar with? Like, let's just start there.
Man, probably the Southern Outdoorsman.
Okay, I don't know them.
Okay, those are two guys out of Alabama. So they are, I couldn't tell you the exact town, but I spam that podcast strictly because I hunt a lot of flatland, and they have a lot of flatland guys on their podcast. Now, they also have guys from up in your neck in the woods in Kansas. They have guys from all over, but they're based where I grew up, and they have a lot of just finding flatland hunting stuff is very hard. And they talk about it a lot.
I don't want to say I've never heard of them, because I might've been on their show before. I was on something Southern Outdoors, Southeast Outdoors. I don't remember, on one of those shows at one point, but so what does that podcast say about the listener? They're a goofy redneck.
Oh, dude. You only wear, real tree or like mossy oak obsession or bottomlands. You're hunting swamps, creeks, the bottoms, and you're jacking up like 35 foot in the sky in a climber. Like that's the listener base. You're not hunting elk. You're not, hitting the mountain. You're not backpacking in. That is not you. You are running away from green jeans if you ever see them. Those are the type of guys. For sure.
I need to listen to this podcast then, because that's how I grew up. Like, I grew up with beer camp and a little bit of deer shooting. Like, that's,
absolutely.
Which was super funny because my dad was a pastor, and never drank a drop of alcohol in his life.
Yeah.
But the deer camp that he got involved with, like the first time he ever took me, he's like, we need to have a talk before you show up here. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he's like, they don't do life the same way we do life. Like, it's different. Yeah. I need to get you ready. And then like we get there, and so the way this camp worked, like as a member, you could hunt, anytime during season. And the first 2 weeks was members only. But then after that, like there was a time where you could bring a guest. And so I got to come. So my dad had already been there for a while, and, for a week or so hunting. And we get there, and one of the guys like is cooking. He's laughing. He's like, where are you taking your son in the morning, Randall? Like to hunt. And he's like, I don't know. I was thinking about, this blind, that stand, whatever. And then my dad pipes off, and I've never heard my dad say like an off word at all. Like, and he says, well, I'm going to take him to the whorehouse. And I'm like, wait, what? Like, we're going where? Like, and come to find out that's what they named my dad's blind, because they thought it would be funny, like the pastor's in the whorehouse, and so that's what they named it. And I'm like, what is going on here? And so, but that's how I grew up, man. That's how I grew up hunting, down in South Arkansas. I
mean,
so I need to listen to this podcast.
It's those, you calling it the whorehouse is funny, because you like the names that people come up with for certain spots, right? Like, you said you're from Arkansas, so you should be familiar. Like certain hunting camps, or you go and hunt someone's land with them or something. They're like, yeah, we call it bullshit lodge. There's this old, hunting cabin that's, dilapidated and falling apart. You're going to find a oil can right next to a pine tree. You're going to walk 30 yards past that, hang a left at the old sun-faded Diet Pepsi can, and then, 50 yards past that, you're going to see a big split-off oak tree, and you're going to climb that tree or something. And they're going to call it something, like the whorehouse, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
But
Yep, that's it, man. That's how I grew up. And it's just so different now. Like, well, really, like when I moved off, went to college in Oklahoma City, started working at a bow shop, like I figured out, I'm like, man, you guys are a lot more serious, like than when I grew up. Like, and my dad is a phenomenal hunter. Like he's the type of dude that just kills like 9 deer a year.
Yeah, just a killer.
But he didn't care what he was wearing, didn't care what he was shooting. His bow was like from 1987. It was an original Hoyt game getter because that's what Chuck Adams shot. Like that's how I grew up. Like you wearing old cotton bottoms and shooting an old bow that you got out of the basement. Like, but that's all I knew.
I think part of their success is probably what they instilled in us in sitting still. But I also think I'm willing to bet pressure had a big deal with like our fathers and grandfathers' success in the woods, and pressure by like just way less. Well, that's not true because the hunter numbers have been declining over the years. But I think
what's crazy too. Everybody cries about pressure. Everybody cries about there's too many hunters. I'm losing all my spots. Dude, there are more world records being entered every year.
Right.
Like
now.
Pope and Young this year has I think it was 11 or 13 new world records.
Yep.
And they're actually at panel right now while we're recording to verify those. And I keep hearing it said like the good old days of hunting are now. Like deer are getting bigger. We're killing a higher, a better class of deer every year. Like everything is increasing, and it just goes to show that the North American model of wildlife conservation is working. Like,
oh yeah, the conservation is probably most of the success of that.
Yeah,
like we finally figured it out, and then we stuck to it.
Yeah,
for a period of time, and it's we're seeing the fruits of our labor now. I mean, you're absolutely right. Like world record year, biggest year we've ever seen. Extreme numbers in certain areas. I would say though the access is like my big thing in the hunting industry right now is it's super lopsided state to state.
Yeah, like, I would agree with that.
Like up your direction and out west, access is not a problem. I lived in New Mexico for 4.5 years, like my first stint in the Air Force, and you want to talk about public ground. We had 350,000 acres an hour from my house, and then
but you can't get a stinking tag.
Yeah, you can't get a tag. I didn't get a tag for crazy. 4.5 years.
That's what's crazy, man. Like people from and it's such a battle, man. Because like people from the West, like I just had my boss from Pope and Young down, and we had booked a hunt to do some upland hunting. Well, we were here a day early, and so we're like, well, let's just go to some public ground. And I'm like, I ain't got no public ground here. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, he gets on Onyx, and he's like, oh, I found two patches of public ground. They're 180 acres apiece. And I'm like, yeah, like that's all we got. Like, but where he's from, it's all public ground. Like anybody can go out and use this ground and hunt, but he can't get a tag. Like, and it's just, it's insane. The difference. Like you go to Michigan, there is no public ground.
Yep.
You go to Oklahoma, Arkansas, there's not a lot of public ground, but you can buy tags, just over the counter and go
over
hunt.
The counter. And there's an extreme number of hunters. Like same thing here in Georgia, Alabama. I mean, there's an insane amount of hunters.
Right.
And you're just walking all over each other on public ground. But
yeah,
I mean, crazy, I can't tell you how many times in New Mexico I was on that 350,000 acres. I couldn't pull a mule deer tag or anything. I'd be coyote hunting because that's the only thing I could do, and seeing absolute mega magnum 200-inch mule deer just doing their thing, walking through the open, and there's nothing. You just watch them go by,
right?
And walk out of your life.
That's where the battle of technology in the hunting industry. That's where it really needs to be addressed. Like, yeah, if you go to places in the country where you can't kill enough deer, who cares what you use, how you use it, why you use it, just kill the deer. Like we need to wipe off a bunch of deer. But when you're talking places out west where, residents takes 10 years to draw a tag, like, man, maybe we need to look at technology there a little more, like so that we can make it more difficult to fill the tags. Like, and it's just that in my opinion, we do a poor job of saying like, oh, cellular trail cameras are bad. Like, can't use cellular trail cameras. Well, there's places in the country where we need every advantage we can get because we just need to stack the bodies. Like, we need to kill as many deer as humanly possible.
Absolutely.
So don't put any limitations on technology. Now, out west, where, it takes you 10 years to draw a tag, like, let's look at limiting some of the success here.
Maybe let's reel back a little bit.
Yeah. And that's where, the conversation has to be had about the ethics behind technology. But
it's a tough topic, especially cell cams is a big one right now. What is it? It's either Iowa or Indiana has banned it on public ground entirely.
Yeah.
Cellular cam. I think they banned trail cameras in general, just for providing an unfair advantage. I don't know if I would call it unfair. Trail cameras have been around for 30 years. Like, the old tripwire ones.
Yep.
They like literally have that wire strung across.
And they were stinking like 17 inches wide and took 400 AA batteries
hanging off the side of the tree. Trip the wire to each flash.
Yeah. I do remember those. And that's why, like, just recently, actually, we get a lot of questions about that at Pope and Young. Like, used to, it was cellular trail cameras are 100% bad. And if you use them, then the animal's not eligible to be in the record books. Mm-hmm. Well, one of my board members said, well, hey, I have a cellular trail camera on my driveway that just monitors, my driveway. Yeah. So you're telling me if a deer walks in front of that in, April, I kill him in November, that deer is now unqualified because I have a cellular picture of him?
Yep.
And so we've taken the stance, and this is a stance I think is really easy for a lot of people to wrap their minds around, unless you're using those cellular trail cameras to hunt in real time. In other words, I've got a picture, let's go kill the deer. Then there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing unethical behind that. In fact, we also have to be cognizant of what kind of footprint are we leaving in the wildlife. And if we're going in more and more and more and more to check batteries and SD cards and pull SD cards, then cellular trail cameras are letting us put less of a footprint on the wildlife. So
what's the lesser evil?
Yeah. We have to consider that.
Yeah. Like, I think the actual number of people who are getting a picture and, within an hour going and hunting that deer, I think that number is a lot smaller than what people are making it out to be. I mean, I think the best you can get from a cellular trail camera is maybe you hit, like that 3-day window, that 4-day window where a buck you've been monitoring for a few years comes by. Maybe it gives you that huge advantage then because okay, my target buck hit the camera last night at 9 p.m., hit it at this time in the morning, and then did it the next day. Odds are, if you've got them planned out, you're going to get it done. I just don't think the numbers of people who are like getting the picture and immediately going out and taking an animal. I don't think that's happening. I'm sure it is, but I don't think it's happening as much as maybe people who are anti-cell cam think it is.
And as far as whitetail goes, like, that's incredibly hard to do. Like, to say, oh, he's there right now. Like, man, especially here in Kansas, like, what are you going to do? Walk across a wheat field? Like, without him seeing you and kill him? Like,
you guys
it's
have
incredibly hard to do.
A dozen trees statewide?
In the whole state, yeah. It's crazy. No. Or they give you, like, so the exact picture you just painted actually screwed me over hardcore. Like, so while, that is an advantage, like, I had that same exact scenario come up in Oklahoma last year where I had this giant that I was hunting and I started getting pictures of him, on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I'm like, holy crap, like like within the minute of each other. And I'm like, I gotta get down there. And so I literally like abandoned all plans. I'm like, baby, I got to go. Like, she's like, where are you going? I'm like, I'm driving down to the farm in Oklahoma. Yeah. This deer is getting killed tomorrow. And so I even I very rarely like film hunts. This is the kind of the only scenario where I'm like, I have a really good chance of shooting a mega giant.
Absolutely.
And so I told the cameraman, I'm like, I need you to come with me. And he's like, all right. And so he took off work. Like we drive down and we spend all day, and that, 5-minute window gets there. And I'm like, here he comes, dude. Like it's been like clockwork, like within a minute, the last 3 nights.
Yep.
And my phone goes off on a cellular trail camera a mile off across the property, and he's over there. And I'm like,
sir,
you gotta be kidding me, dude. I just I just used my one card, like for my wife all year of like, gotta go. Like I'm going hunting. I just burned it for this.
I heard someone explain that cellular cameras will put you in the woods more, and it'll get you really fired up to go hunt.
Yep.
It's going to put you in the woods way more than if you don't have them at all. I think a guy did a study on himself. He did, a year of trail cameras and a year without. And in the year without, he found that, he was very selective, and he hunted a lot less, but his success wasn't necessarily up. But the cellular camera put him in the woods way more, and he was more excited to hunt. Just like you were saying, the same thing happened to me. 3 days in a row, target bucks on the camera. He's there at 5 minutes before shooting light ends, and he's there like 5 minutes before shooting light opens, 2 days in a row. Yeah. Same exact scenario. I'm there. I'm in the tree. Everything's perfect. Wind's right. I'm there. Camera set. Trail camera. 2,000 yards away. There he is.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do about
it. So what I think the biggest hurt with cellular trail cameras is it takes away some of that hunter instinct that we need to rely on. Like,
yes,
there was actually that same deer, a later time in Oklahoma. I'm like, dude, I'm going to kill him in this stand. Like he's going to be in front of this stand, but my camera had been showing him in front of another stand. And so I'm like, but he's over there. And so I set the stand where the camera was. Every bit of hunter instinct in me was saying he's going to be here. Like, I don't know why, but this is where he's going to be.
Yep.
But the trail cameras were telling me he's going to be over there. And so I said over there, and sure enough, camera goes off and he's where I thought he was going to be. And I'm like, gosh, dang it. And like, I think sometimes we just rely too much on the technology and not that internal storage that we've built up. And I'm going to coin a term for it one day. But when the wind switches and everything happens and you're like, I'm about to kill a deer. Like it's about to go down. And I tell people like, that's not because you're like the best hunter ever and you just know, but over the time that you spent in the woods, like you've made mental notes of like what was going on when I killed the deer.
Absolutely.
What was the wind doing? What was the weather doing? What was the pressure like, and you've just made those mental notes. So when all those conditions start to happen, you're like, this is it.
Yep.
And I think so many times, man, we've relied on technology for so long that it's starting to take away from that hunter instinct.
Quite a bit. Like all that work got you to where you wanted to put that camera at in the first place, right? Like all that hunter instinct that you have, all the knowledge you have, like you used it to put your camera where you wanted it at. And I think it's just it's not camera drunk, it's not buck drunk, but man, it's just like you said, you will throw away years of experience.
It's a stinking addiction, bro. Like,
yes. It is like drugs. You have a plan. You're like, the wind is perfect. The weather's perfect. Temperature's great. All conditions are perfect to kill this deer tomorrow. And then at 11 p.m., your phone, the notification goes off. And there's a buck. Just one of the ones you see pretty often that I'd take him. He hits that other camera. You will throw that entire plan in the garbage and go sit that other stand.
Yeah.
All over the picture.
Dude, it literally, like, for the months leading up to November, it's almost like such a relief. Like when I punched my tag and I don't have to look at cameras anymore. Like I just probably 2 days ago, I'm like, I need to check those cameras. They're still running. Like, just see what's been going through there,
Yeah.
And I leave my cell cameras up all year because just some cool things happen.
Yeah, you do get cool stuff.
Like last year here in Kansas, I actually had a bull elk walk across my field. There's no elk anywhere near us. Like, still don't know where this bull came from, how he got there, why he was there. And so I was really glad I had my cameras up so I could see this bull on my property. Like, that was super cool. But anyways, like just 2 nights ago, I'm like, I'm going to check those cameras. And I'm like, man, it's such a relief. Cause like, 2 months ago, my whole life revolved around this app and checking the cameras and what's going on, where are they at? Like, and 5 times a day you're sitting there and you're like, oh man, he's there. No, now he's over here. And your wife's trying to talk to you and you're like, hold on, honey, I'm looking at these pictures.
Yeah,
like your whole life goes down the drain during that time.
Absolutely. It's like the relief. It feels wrong to say it because I love it. You love it. Like I love hunting. That's my jam. But there is this like 50-pound sack lifted off your shoulders come February-ish. At the end of the year, you're like, okay, I'm not checking the cameras. We got a little bit of gap here. You either punch your tag or whatever. You need the break because
for sure.
The cameras, the all day sits, you got to have a break. Like the break between deer season and turkey season is perfect because those cameras and everything will drive you crazy for sure.
Well, now you're coyote hunting. That's what what I do right now. I love thermal coyote hunting, man. It is an addiction.
Man, coyotes. Most of my coyote hunting was done in New Mexico, and that was some of the most frustrating hunting I've ever done was predator hunting out there. Especially, well, I guess you could relate. Kansas, you could see so far. Like you would call one into, gosh, I could see thousands of yards. You see them at like 450 yards on a string, coming, and like, all right, here it is. It's going to happen. I only need them to go 200, 250 more yards, and it's a done deal. And then they'll stop, pick their head up, start walking sideways, and they'll just wind you.
They're gone.
And run out of your life.
Yeah, they're gone. Guys, I am all about prioritizing your feet. If you take care of your feet on the mountains or in the tree stand, you will just undoubtedly last longer. I remember the first time I ever went out west wearing a cheap pair of boots and cotton socks. Hot spots and blisters absolutely just took over that hunt. And here's what I learned. The more comfortable your feet are, the further you'll go, the faster you'll get there, the longer you'll stay on the mountain, and you'll just hunt better because your mind is on the hunt, not on your feet. That's when I come upon Schnee's. Schnee's makes the best mountain boots, in my opinion. I'm going to go ahead and tell you my favorite pair. My favorite pair is the Timberlines. I have ran the mountain in those on several different occasions, several different climates, several different, terrain types. And those boots just seem to always perform. They're light, they're fast, they're comfortable. There's no break in. They're Italian made. They're high quality, phenomenal boots. However, I'm also here in the Midwest, do a lot of Midwest hunting, a lot of tree stand hunting. And I'm a big fan of rubber boots for that. Here's why. Leather holds scent. So I'm a big fan that I don't want any leather on my feet when I'm whitetail hunting, walking in and out of my tree stands. So I've always been a leather boot guy. A couple years ago, Schnee's introduced the Highwoods. They now have it in a 0-gram insulation and a 400-gram insulation. It's a phenomenal rubber boot. Again, I have pushed those boots really hard. I've actually used them on quite a few snowy pheasant hunts, walked a lot of miles in them. They're super, super comfortable, super warm, super tough. Guys, prioritize your feet. Take care of your feet. If you're sitting in a tree stand, make sure your feet are going to be warm. If you're on the mountain, make sure you've got a good pair of merino socks and a good pair of boots so you can stay on the mountain longer, hunt harder, be more successful. Guys, go to schnees.com. That's SCHNEES.com for the best boots money can buy. All right. Let's do this. What the hunting podcast you listen to says about you.
Okay.
We've already talked about Southern Outdoorsman. You're a guy who probably, well, never mind. I was going to say something mean. All right. What about Bow Hunter Planet? Dave Thomas.
Dude, you're a gear guy. You're a tech guy, gear guy. Like you care about the numbers, the weight. You're that 500 grain FOC obsessed kind of guy. You're probably a brand snob. Not that that's bad, but you're probably a brand snob one way or the other, and you're definitely buying a flagship bow every year. The flagship bow every year. But on the flip side of that, you're also probably just like a really well-informed person at the same time. Like, I watch Bow Hunter Planet.
You're saying Dave gets good information?
I mean, I'm still informed. Like, I don't have the newest bow. My bow's 3-4 years old. But I'm the same way. I'm super obsessed with just the newest, the latest, the greatest. Why is, this great? Why is the why and everything? But you're a numbers guy.
All right, numbers guy. I like that. I, in my opinion, if you listen to Dave, see, I would be I would think the opposite. I would think you're not brand loyal, because he does reviews of all different bows, and so you're wanting to figure out like what bow is best this year, and that's what I'm going to get. Like, which I admire about Dave. That's actually part of what I love about Dave is he's not brand specific on anything. It's just here's the information on all the stuff, and I think it's cool.
But I mean, if I'm, that's what I go consume though. If I want to know, like, I know he's not brand biased. So if I want to know what truly is the greatest, someone like him who's going to give me an unbiased approach is like the best content for me to consume. I don't necessarily want to hear from the guy who's getting cut a check from that brand every month. I'll take it with a grain of salt, but I'll respect information from someone who's, just non-biased across all brands, like him or, there's another guy on YouTube I watch too. None of them, he ranks everyone's flagship bow every year just based off of everything. But you're a gear snob, but you're not, super brand loyal.
I would agree with that. Meat Eater, what the Meat Eater podcast says about you,
dude. Lord, you're a Western elitist. We'll say that. I love Meat Eater. I love their trivia. But if you're a Meat Eater listener, you also could just be a biologist, honestly. You could just be
I like that.
Like my wife, she's a natural resources biologist, went to Mississippi State for forestry and wildlife conservation. So she consumes that podcast just because of the crazy info you'd get from them. But yeah, you're one of two people, man. You're either, a Western hunting elitist, or you just are obsessed with the science of it all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. You probably enjoy a nice whiskey and cigar by the fire while you're listening to it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I like Meat Eater. I listen to their podcast some, and
that trivia is where it's at.
Yeah, hot take. They might. Maybe I shouldn't say this. If I'll edit it out later if I'm not supposed to. There might be a Pope and Young trivia coming from them pretty soon, which would be cool. Awesome. I'm excited about that. Remy Warren, what does the Remy Warren podcast say about you?
Oh, man.
And I know what I would say. I would say you don't care to be entertained. Like, Remy is not an entertaining dude. And I can say, like, he's actually the next guest scheduled to come on the podcast. Like, I'm a Remy Warren fan. Like, there are two people in this world like that I'm a fanboy of, and one is Remy and one is Clay Newcomb.
Yep.
And so like I'm a Remy fan, but Remy is not an entertaining guy. Like, Remy is give you the best information to help you kill the best animal. Like, and so I would imagine if you listen to Remy, like when I listen to Remy is when I'm going on a big hunt, like an elk hunt, and I start just diving into all of his elk content because I want to hear what he says about, if a bull's hung up at 60, if, a cow gets between you and the bulls, like, what are you doing? Like, and so you are wanting to kill an animal if you're listening to Remy. Like, that's what
absolutely. I say. Like, if you're someone who can consume like hunting content and you don't need to be entertained, great, dude. Like, I'm someone who I consume so much hunting content from both sides. I can sit there and listen to Remy all day long because it's like he's giving you this. It's almost like it feels like secrets. I'm getting the secrets that no one else knows about on like the little minute details you need to close the deal on a lot of stuff. Well, same thing with Clay.
Yeah. We'll get to Clay because if you listen to Clay, you're a dumb redneck from Arkansas. No, straight up, man. One time I was listening to Remy and he was talking about like peeing to get a bull to come in. And he's like, if there's just not a bull, if there's a bull that won't come into my calls, I'll pee. Like, and if I don't have to pee, I'll just dump water to make it sound like pee. And I was like, that's cool. Like, and I remember thinking, I wonder if that works for whitetail. And actually same hunt that I just told you about where I drove down hoping to kill that deer. And he never showed up. There was a buck hung up and he wasn't coming in. And so I'm like, I'm going to try that. Like, and I started peeing and that deer snapped his head and came right in. And I was like, Remy Warren, you son of a gun.
Something, man. It's like the secret sauce, man. He drops the secret sauce.
I saw him at a convention a few weeks after that. And I'm like, dude, I peed a deer in. And he's like, nice. Like, I'm like, I used to, and that's another thing, like, you know, going back to, I don't want to say misconceptions about, you know, when I was hunting as a child, but like, you know, I grew up, you don't make any noise. You don't move at all. You don't add any scent. Like you're peeing in a bottle and saving it for, you know, to take it out of the woods with you. Like we never
fart.
Grunted, never rattled. Don't fart. I mean, if you don't move your head, like I just grew up like super strict.
Yeah.
And I remember I was hunting with a buddy one time and I was still a young guy and that mold hadn't been broken yet. And this dude just kills booners every year. And we're sitting there hunting and he whips his thing out and starts peeing. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? Like my eyes got massive. And he's like, what do you mean? I pee from my tree literally every time. And then I heard Remy talking and like, now I try to pee as much as I possibly can. Like I literally pee all the time. Like I drink water just to try and pee more. But same thing with like calling. Like my dad didn't call. He never used grunts or rattles. And so like, you know, when I moved to Kansas and I started hunting with people who do, I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like you're going to scare every deer off in the whole county. And then sure enough, a buck comes running in and I'm like, that works. Like hot dang, you know,
I'm right here with you.
Yeah. And that is a Southern thing too. Like deer don't respond to calls in Arkansas. I mean, I've tried, at least not like they do in Kansas. Like, I mean, if you could grunt deer. I mean, I've seen deer hung up at 200 yards, grunted 2 times and they come running to you. Like it's crazy. And Texas is even worse. Like if you hit a rattle bag in Texas, you're going to see a deer. Like you could be in Walmart parking lot. If you rattle, there's deer coming.
Yeah. Pennsylvania is how it was for me this year. It was, I felt like I was dropped on another planet as far as deer hunting goes. Like everything I know wasn't necessarily wrong, but like everything I was taught, like you just said, that's wrong works. I can grunt and stop a deer and turn a deer my way. I've never in my life seen or heard of someone in the South stopping a deer or calling one on a string to you, you know?
Right. And it's just a different part of the country. I mean, deer respond different, act different.
There's different animals.
Clay Newcomb, what the Bear Grease podcast says about you.
Dude, he's the fun version of all of what we were talking about. All those guys over there, man.
If you listen to Clay Newcomb, you should have been born 100 years ago. Like you're killing coons and rendering your own bear fat and, you know, probably play a fiddle. Like you should have been born 100 years ago. You're smoking a pipe.
Like, modern mountain man, but he's, you know, like he does it all and he's entertaining. He's fun, but like, golly, the stories from that guy. Yeah. If you listen to Clay Newcomb, you're just that quirky dude who just says weird stuff and does weird things all the time, but we still love you and keep you around, you know?
Yeah. You hunt small game and,
you love small game more than anything.
Yeah. And you've probably got mules or dogs, like, but they're your best friends. Like if you listen to Clay Newcomb, you probably have a hunting dog or a mule that is like your best friend.
Absolutely. You have some sort of working dog. You don't need to communicate with human life, you know, get through.
Yeah. I would agree. But I'm a big Clay fan. I remember when I became a Clay fan, I was already living here in Kansas and I saw that video. I mean, it's old now, but I saw that video of this guy hunting public ground bears in Arkansas, spot and stalk. And I'm like, this is so cool. Like, and just watching it, I'm like, that's like right around my house, like where I grew up. Like that's where my folks live. That's where my dad hunts. And so I like took a deep dive into this guy. And this was before he was with Meat Eater. This was just the bear hunting magazine days.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, he's hunting like right by my folks' house. And so come to find out he lives like 10 miles from my parents. Like, and so I'm like, wow, there's a famous hunting guy that, you know, I grew up next to and didn't even know it. And so I became a fan of him because he was hunting public ground where I grew up and, you know, stomping the same mountains I stomped growing up as a kid. And I always joke with the rest of the Meat Eater guys, like, if we're talking to like Yanni, I'll be like, dude, is it true that you really know Clay Newcomb? Like you actually know him? And he's like, yeah, I've met him a time or two. I'm like, holy crap, dude. I'm like, can I have your autograph? Cause you know Clay. Like, that's so cool.
Yeah.
All right. What does, let's see here. Who do I want to go to next? Wired to Hunt.
I haven't heard of those. Wait, where are they out of?
That's another Meat Eater podcast. That was, why in the world can't I think of his name? Holy crap. I'm so sorry. I just had him we just did an interview with him for Pope and Young. And now if I wouldn't have said it, I would have been able to say it, but I'll think of it here in a minute. I'll tell you what it says about you, because it's a lot, in my opinion, a lot like the Meat Eater podcast, but for whitetails. Like you are a whitetail fanatic. You are obsessed with it. That's all you do is want to know more about whitetails and the science behind whitetails and how to create better whitetail habitat. And I mean, you probably own a bunch of land and you are probably trying to create it into the best habitat that you can possibly make it.
Well, you probably have a new podcast to go. Just
he's legit, man. As far as whitetail goes, and it's driving me nuts that I can't think of his name. And if I had my phone here, I could easily look it up because we had a Zoom call just a few weeks ago. But he's the whitetail guy for Meat Eater, and it's called Wired to Hunt. So Mark Kenyon, there it is, Mark Kenyon.
That guy. Yeah, absolutely.
He's the equivalent to Meat Eater for whitetail. Is what it is. Like you're data driven.
How have I missed that? I'm gonna feel check that out.
Yeah, like you want to know everything there is to know about whitetails. All right. Do you listen to Working Class Bow Hunter at all?
Absolutely, I do.
What does it say about you?
See, so this one's hard to rag on because these are my folks.
It's not hard to rag on. You can't rag on them at all. You're probably working in an oil field. Your hands are probably dirty. Like you are the dude who's sitting on a stinking hot coal train all day long, and
you start your day with some form of nicotine, a white monster, and some form of like breakfast biscuit. That's how you start
from
your
a
day.
Gas station
At 5 a.m.
Yeah.
And you work your fingers to the bone all day, and then you come home and you are single-handedly keeping Keystone or Busch Light in business. And you just consume their podcast all day, and you won't touch a gun. You just won't touch a gun at all.
I would agree with all that. Yeah.
Covered in tattoos. So of course you have to be covered in tattoos as well.
Yeah. Well, I told Kurt was actually on the podcast not too long ago. And I told him he should be proud of me because I got my first tattoo. For those of you who are listening and you know me like on a personal basis and you're like, Dylan has a tattoo. I got my wedding ring tattooed, folks. I didn't get a razorback on my butt cheek or nothing. I got my ring tattooed.
No regrets.
No regrets. But no, those guys are legit, man. And I admire what they do immensely.
That's
from
a big
podcasting standpoint, from a hunting standpoint. They are my favorite type of people to share a camp with. The type of dudes who can just have an absolute blast.
Yep.
They're not going to be boring in camp. They're going to, hang out and have fun. But then when it's time to hunt, it's time to hunt. Like they flip a switch and let's go hunting. I've been with both guys. I've been with guys who can't. I've been with guys who can't flip the switch either way. Like, and it's just frustrating, man. No secret. Like a couple years ago, I got to share a week camp with Chuck Adams, and he doesn't have the fun flip. Like he can't flip to having fun. Like if we're sitting there if we're sitting there playing poker at 9 p.m., like he's like, still talking about looking at trying to wrap his mind around how to kill this deer. He leaves before you and comes back after you, like because he's just. But that's also why he's the single greatest bow hunter to ever live.
Yeah, I get it, and I respect it. It's just not for me,
And then vice versa. Like I've been with the dude who, you're trying to hunt, and he's, thinking, "Hey, I'm going to moon you from the blind, and we're going to mess up all the deer." And
it's almost worse for me. The guy who can't ever turn it on is almost worse for me. I can handle being like locked in all the time. I feel like like at least you're taking this, pretty seriously. Like if I'm on a trip, I traveled there, like I'm going to be a little bit more serious than I am playful, but yeah, like I'm on the same page with the WCB guys. Like definitely those are, if you were going to like idolize a certain group of guys, like that is the hunter I think most of us are familiar with, and that's what a hunter is. Like, ethical, fun to be around, charismatic, follows the rules, loves what they do, like just all of it wrapped up in a bow,
Yeah, those guys are legit, man. And I'll be honest, I was the I told Kurt this, like this is not a secret. I'm not talking bad about him. I told him this. I, for the longest time, thought they were a bunch of goofballs who didn't know how to hunt. Like, and that's what I thought about these guys. Like,
it's easy to perceive that.
Yeah, they like to have a good time talking about hunting, which is great. And if you want to just have a good time and listen to dudes talk about hunting, they're your guys. Mm-hmm. But then when you really talk to them and you really take time to listen to what they're saying, like you're like, these dudes they got it. Like they're legit hunters. And so now I like them a ton because I'm like, man, they have a really good time. And it's, it's okay to laugh and have fun, but then like they know how to hunt and they're serious about their hunting. And that's the kind of people I admire. Like, but I also admire them on the podcast side. Like they have done very, very well.
Oh yeah.
They've done things that I wish I would have done from the beginning. Like once I started watching them, I'm like, man, why didn't I try to do this? Why didn't I start that way? Why didn't I? Yep. They do things really well, man. And they have a really good podcast and just a great group of dudes.
They're like a good example of just hunters in general. Like like you said, you almost wrote them off at first, but then you gave them a chance and they actually turned out to be great dudes. I think that's, from an outward perspective to hunters in general, it's the same thing. Like maybe at first glance, you don't like what you see or you don't like what you hear.
Yeah.
But if you just give us a chance, we'll probably reveal to you that we're not bad guys at all.
Yeah. So Scott, one of the owners of Dialed, is a buddy of mine. And like, I went to the point of like saying like, Scott, why are you working with these dudes? Like, they're not legit hunters. Like they're just a bunch of goofballs. And that's when my eyes started to be open because Scott, started sharing stories about them as people and them, their hunting stories, their hunting journeys and how they, take people hunting and get people. And I'm like, oh, like, dang. Okay. And then you have a conversation with Kurt and it's like, wow, like you're as legit as they come. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, those guys are awesome. Knock On, John Dudley. What does it say about you?
I've only consumed a little bit of Knock On. You consume so much. I think you consume more podcasts than I do.
I don't actually. I don't listen to hunting podcasts a lot at all.
Really?
No. I'm speaking about these guys and their podcasts from a personal level of like, yeah, I've listened to certain episodes of all these guys.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I don't listen to a lot of hunting podcasts really, unless I'm on like a super long road trip and have nothing to do. I don't really listen to podcasts. Yeah. I also don't drive though. I live in a town that's 2 miles wide and I work from home. So, it's not like I don't have a lot of road time.
That's valid. What about Hunter?
Knock On. I've never listened to him.
Really?
Huh. Never listened to him.
I had a lot
Knock
of
On. Hold on. Let me tell you what Knock On John Dudley says about you. You probably shoot everything that he makes or is working with, because he's just the king of archery. And you shoot his releases. You made the switch with PSE to him, and now you're back to Hoyt with him. You shoot you don't see dudes like if you go to TAC. They don't just have a John Dudley hat on. Like if they have a John Dudley hat, they're shooting a bow that he shoots. They're shooting his release. They have his arrows and his hip quivers and his Sitka pants that you are all in John Dudley. Like if you're listening to him, you want really high level information about how to be a really great shot. You are way more interested in producing a good shot than most people. Which I admire because I'm a trigger puncher through and through, and I'm not ashamed of it. Like who cares? Like I used to want to try to fix it. Now I'm like, man, it's worked for me for this long. Like who cares?
Sometimes it just works.
Sometimes, which is so funny because like on my recurve, man, I am anal about producing just the perfect shot and having a good release, good follow through, good back tension. Like I consume so much like Shot IQ and Tom Clum and to produce a really good shot on my recurve. But then with a compound, it's just like, dude, just punch the trigger and get the arrow going downrange.
Absolutely. I mean, maybe it's easy to overcomplicate it. I mean, it's a delicate art form to master. You'll never be, perfect at it, but I mean, sometimes you just got to be kind of just a dumb Southerner about it. And you're like, well,
it works.
Killed all these deer punching, and this guy on YouTube's trying to tell me I don't need to punch the trigger, and I've got a wall to prove otherwise,
Yeah. I mean, and hey, don't get me wrong. Like I understand I'll never be as good as I could be. Like I fully understand that, but I'm also, I'm not shooting at paper to make a lot of money. Like I want to be able to shoot a deer at 20 yards. I want to be able to shoot an elk at 60. Like that's really it, man. I care about killing animals. So what does the Hunter podcast say about you?
The Hunter, you don't call deer 8 points, 10 points, 12 points. It's strictly, the 200-inch deer, 185-inch deer. You're 100% an inch guy. It's all about the inch game. You definitely hunt out of a lock-on, and you spend 2 hours in the gym every day and consume an egregious amount of protein watching the Hunter podcast.
I've never heard of them. I've heard of them. I've never listened to them.
They're honestly, they're great. They are great. They're just, they represent easy kills for like personalities or easy stuff to poke at. Like one of them, I always forget his name. He's like he's jacked, really good in shape guy. Both these guys are absolute killers, by the way. And the other guy's kind of just a more normal looking guy. They are up in the Iowa area. So they're up in that, prime, huge whitetail, area of the United States. So, I mean, that's what they lean into. They hunt out of lock-ons. They have their own private land that they own. Elitist is not the word, but I mean, they're like everything that is new and cool about whitetail hunting besides saddles. That's them.
Very cool. Very cool. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else I want to pick on. I do want to share, and I wouldn't do this if this wasn't a new platform and I'm trying to get across the vision and mission here. But here's what I hope Typical Sportsman says about you, that you're just a typical guy who likes to go out and hunt.
Yep.
And it's kind of like what you said in the beginning. Like, I just want to encourage people, like, just live the life of a hunter. Like, and it doesn't matter what style of hunting. Like, I don't care what camo you wear. I don't care what bow you shoot. Just live the life of a hunter. It's okay to be the dude who shows up to Walmart in your camo Crocs. Like, it's all right to be walking into church, wiping the paint off your face because you just got done with the duck hunt. Like,
exactly.
It's okay. Like, man, and I could share the typical redneck stories, all throughout my life, but it's all right to roll into school to pick your kids up and you got blood on your boots, like, because you just got done hunting and killing something. Like, and that's what, I'm just trying to get people to just embrace the lifestyle. It's what we love. It's what we're all about. And so
it's a gross majority of us.
Yeah. And so just embrace the lifestyle of being a hunter. And, I always just tell people, if I walk into an airport, just because of the way I'm dressed and what I'm wearing or the backpack I'm carrying, people are like, that dude's a hunter. Like, and that's it in a nutshell. Like, just live the life of a hunter, and enjoy it. And who cares what people say about you? Yeah. Who cares if people laugh because, you got paint on your face or blood on your boots or camo Crocs or your best church shoes are bottomland hay dudes.
Bottomland hay dudes. Yep.
It's all right. But yeah, that's what I hope. I mean, and as we build this podcast out and it continues to grow, that's what I hope it says about you. So
absolutely.
When somebody else is sitting on a podcast talking about what other people's podcasts say about you, that's what they would say. Yeah. I don't know that this will ever be discussed again on another podcast, but I think it's cool.
I don't know, dude. Average guys make up a gross majority of us, and we're all being influenced from a million different directions on what we should say, what we should do, what we should shoot, what we should
Yeah.
kill, how we should do it, what we should wear when we do it. But God, a gross majority of us are really just scraping by with what we have, and making it happen with what we can get our hands on. Like,
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's most of us. That's most of us. Hundreds of thousands of us.
Do you have any other podcasts that you want to say what they say about you?
I think that, well, there's Cameron Haynes.
Oh course. Yeah.
It's hard to miss. I mean, CrossFit class at 6:00. You're definitely running no less than a half marathon every day. You're probably training towards some sort of high rocks event.
You probably get your blood work done like every other week.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have a normal job. You work some from home sales job, very like business minded. You listen to David Goggins when you wake up every morning. You only shoot.
He's your alarm clock. David Goggins is your alarm clock.
Who's going to carry the boats every morning? Just drives you through your morning. You only shoot a Hoyt, and you only draw back 80 pounds, even if it takes every fiber in your body to pull it back. You will only pull 80 pounds or more back.
You know what? During when the 80-pound wave started to hit, I'm like, I'm going to shoot 60 just to make everybody mad.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm just going to drop to 60. And so for 2 years, I shot 60 just for the reason. So somebody, when they said like, why are you shooting 60? I could say, because it kills deer just fine. Like, because it blows through animals just fine. Like, man, my wife got a pass through last year with a 47-pound bow. And that's a 200-pound whitetail in Kansas. Like, complete pass through 47 pounds. And I'm like, but yet you need 80. Like, for what? You're shooting deer at 20 yards. You don't need 80 pounds. Now I understand, like, if you're going to Africa, I understand, crank it up and build you a 700 grain arrow and go to Africa. But man, you're shooting whitetails at 20 yards. Like, it's super easy to forget that not too long ago. And when I say not too long ago, I understand that 100 years is a long time, but not in the grand scheme of humanity. Not too long ago, they were shooting them with stick bows and they had to carve down rocks to make them sharp, and they were killing animals. I mean, let's not forget that wasn't too long ago. Now, hey, I'm a technology junkie. I'm a gear junkie. I love new bows. I love new broadheads, arrows. Like, I love tinker with the equipment, but sometimes I also just have to go, you know what? I'm way overcomplicating this. Like, I'm making this way too difficult.
Yep.
So let's go back to punching my trigger.
Yeah. I mean, it's easy to overcomplicate it. I mean, there's going to come a day when it's technology advances and it's average to pull back 100 pounds, and there's going to be the 100-pound snobs, and then there's going to be a day when we have 95% let off, and like there's always going to be a group of snobs to obsess over something, and there's going to be the elitists who think we should be pulling stick bows, and then that training wheels on a compound is just for children. But you're always going to have polar opposite ends in this space.
Yep, you sure are, man. So what's next for you, dude? What can the people expect to see coming out on social media before long?
I'm kicking around the idea of a podcast myself. Just trying to lean into the beginner aspect of all of it, and not coming from the perspective of an expert myself, because I'm not. I'm very much an amateur in the game myself. I mean, I didn't harvest my first buck until last season. It only ever got a doe. I joined the military, and everywhere I went, I couldn't hunt. So I didn't get to hunt again until I got here to Georgia. And I just got my first turkey this past turkey season. So I'm just I want to come from the perspective of everything I've learned myself and prove to others that, dude, you can do it too. I mean, there's no way to describe, like, you hear scrapes or rubs and stuff like that thrown around. And when you spend all night learning about scrapes and what they mean and what they're for, and then you go in the woods and you're like, okay, well, so-and-so and so-and-so said that they'll typically be in these areas and this is what it means. And then you stumble across your first one by yourself in an area you found and everything, dude, nothing tops that. I mean, it's like, what is that movie whenever Tom Hanks is stranded on that island and makes fire? Like, look what I have created, just, I mean, I can't believe I'm putting it all together. And once you start putting all those little things together and you make you first pick out your first tree and with all the sign that you found and everything that you've learned, and then you finally see a buck come within bow range of that tree, unbeatable. But I'm kicking around the idea of a podcast on that topic. And then I really need to lean into long form videos.
Yeah. Man, what you said, that is so beyond true. I remember probably the single most, like, the trophy that means the most to me. There's two. The first buck I ever shot, but then the first buck I ever shot on my own ground. Like, the first buck without dad hanging the tree stand, without dad telling, this is where I would go, this is what I would do, the first buck when I came to Kansas and I had my own lease and I've got to tackle this. I've got to figure out, where the deer are going to be, where they go and where to hang, where to sit. Mm-hmm. That buck to me was like unbelievable because it was like, I did all of it. Like, This is the first time where it wasn't just me pulling the trigger. It was me dissecting this piece of ground, like, figuring out where to hunt, figuring out where to hang the stand, figuring out, what shooting lanes to cut. Like, it just, it meant so much more because I had done all of the work.
Yep.
And so I tell people that if you're going on the first hunt, like if you've never elk hunted, book a stinking outfit. Like, I understand it's cool to say I did it myself, but you will learn so much from that outfit. Like, and just spend all week long, like, asking them questions. Why are we doing this? Where are the elk at right now? Why do you think, where are they headed? Why are they going this way? Why are they making that noise?
Yep.
Why aren't they making noise? Like, ask them all of those questions. And then after you've spent that time, then do it yourself.
Yep.
Like, so if you're just now getting into it, find somebody to mentor you, find somebody to take you out and help you and to coach you up and to, talk to you about shot placement, to talk to you about, where to hang a tree stand and talk to you about how to field dress a deer. I mean, all that stuff.
Yep. Just find someone.
Yeah. But then don't be afraid to move on and try it yourself. Like, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to mess up. I had hunted my entire life, but when it was just me for the first time, like, I made really stupid mistakes and I'm like, better than this. But again, it was me trying to figure it all out by myself on this piece of ground. And so you'll make mistakes and you'll mess up, but that, I don't want to call it the graduation process, but like that process of, okay, now I'm going to do it all on my own.
Dude.
Like, oh my gosh, it means so much more.
Unrivaled, man. Like, when you paint a picture or you write a script for how you think it's going to work out based on all the work you've laid down yourself. And when it plays out to the script or very close to it, dude, I mean, it'll give me chills. Like, it's the best feeling ever. Like,
for sure,
got your spot picked out. You're like, that deer's going to come right in between those two trees at this time on this date range. And then it happens. You're like, you can't tell me anything. I'm the best hunter on planet Earth.
Yeah. And it happens. It does, man. And it's like, oh, it means so much when it's like, man, I did this. Yeah. And not to sound cocky, not to pound my chest and say, look at me, look how good I am. But internally, like, it feels so good to know, like, I figured this out. Like, I tackled this hunt and I made this happen. And, going back to building those hunter instincts, like, that's where those instincts come from, of like, when you're just walking through the woods and you're like, oh, I need to hang a stand right here.
Yep.
Again, it's just that internal database that you've built up over all the years of where did you see the deer? What kind of trees were around them?
Comes from a lot of failure too. Like, a ton of failure.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yeah.
Like me personally, like figuring out feed trees and oaks and stuff. Do you know how many times I climbed a pecan tree or something stupid like that? Because I'm like, okay, yeah, bark checks out. Like, and you're kind of looking up to it and you're like, well, it is a down acorn year. Maybe there's just not as a lot of acorns on this tree in particular. I was like, but we'll log this. And you look around and you're like, probably a pretty good spot. And then you're climbing a pecan tree for half the season, and
that is something that I want to get. I will admittedly say, like, I need to get better at. Like, there are dudes, like, I've got a buddy, Aaron Zeesh, if you're listening, like, you're such a nerd. Like, the whole time we were driving to Idaho on our elk hunt this last year, there would be trees like a mile and a half away. We're going 75. And he's like, oh, dude, look at that, red, bark aspen over there. And I'm like, what? Like, how did you? He's like, oh, they had those this far. Like, this is so cool, man. And like, you can just see these trees. And I'm like, how do you even know that tree? Like, and I admittedly need to get better about like what kind of trees and what trees are dropping when and what kind of.
That's what I'm studying hard right now. And then my wife, what's hilarious is like my wife has a forestry background and a wildlife conservation background. Dude, she can tell you any bird, any tree, any bush, any twig.
Yeah,
what it is.
She's a tree nerd,
but she doesn't care about hunting or anything like that. So like, I would be lying if I said, take my wife to the woods. You're like, all right, I need to know what that tree, and that tree are, and then she tells you, like, okay, all right, sweet,
cool, thanks,
thank you. Well,
you're good to go.
Yeah, that's all I needed. You can go back to the truck.
Yeah, your services have been completed. You're good to go.
Thank you. And
I'll say that if you listen to Clay Newcomb and going back to the Clay, your trees probably like you know your acorns and when they're dropping and all that stuff. Like, yeah, man,
just extremely knowledgeable guy.
I really am excited for you, man. I when the podcast originally started under the Bear Archery umbrella, it was the Hunting 101 podcast is what it was called. And and we did a lot of series like Deer 101, Turkey 101, Elk 101, just teaching people from the ground up. How do you do this? Like, you're interested in hunting. How do you do it? And the amount of like, that was the most rewarding time in my career, probably because I would get emails and text messages from people like, man, I've never hunted before. And because of the Deer 101 series, I got my first buck this year. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that was the most rewarding time. Like,
DMs, man. Like, do you know how many, it's mostly kids too. That's the best part. Like 15, 16-year-old kids. Like, hey, like I watched your scouting video on deer and I finally like killed my first deer in the woods. You're like,
yeah.
And they're giving you all the credit. And you're like, dude, this is great. This is awesome. This is the best thing in the world. Get these kids in the woods and like they're learning something from, all the stupid stuff you've messed up over the years and finally kind of put something together.
I'm almost embarrassed at how many messages I got about the pee out of your tree when I tackled that topic. Like, I got a lot of messages from dudes and like, holy crap, man, I peed out my tree and shot a deer. Yeah. I'm like, you're welcome. Yeah, like, worry. If that's all I ever give the world, you're welcome. Yeah. It came from Remy, but
you can pee him in. You
can pee the deer in. Yeah, man, I really am excited for you because that was like the single most rewarding time ever. And I still get follow up, like people will still, that same one of the same guys that shot his first deer last year sent me a picture. He's like, well, I got my first elk now. And I'm like, dude, like, you're a stud, man. Like,
you're a killer.
And that was so rewarding to me, man. And I do want to put more of an emphasis on going back and doing some more like 101 series. Last year, one of the coolest series we did with PJ Riley from Lancaster, we did a build your own bow series. Yep. So it was just 6 parts out of the box. How do you set your own bow up? And I just really like giving that resource, being that source of information that, PJ walked you through how to tie a D-loop, how to tie in your peep sight, how to check the timing, how to get it in tune. I mean, he did all that stuff. And even myself, like when I'm setting up a bow now, it's like, oh man, my bottom cam's hitting, it's out of time. What did PJ say to do? And like, I'll go back and watch that. And like, that's what I hope that series would live for everybody. And so I do want to get back to doing, more of that stuff because it is so rewarding.
Dude, it's the best. And I'm not even trying to build up on my own ego. And I don't think you are either. It's like, I want to share this with somebody. Like I had, massive failure over whatever topic it is. And then I kind of pieced everything together and made something happen out of it. And I want to share that. Like if you're struggling, well, here's how I sucked for months at whatever it was. All right. And then I tried these few things that I consumed or figured out myself, and it worked. So like, here you go.
Yeah. And I tell people all the time, like, information is free to give. Like, I can give out information that I've learned over the years. And like you said, I'm by no means an expert. Like, I by no means have it all figured out. I still make really stupid mistakes. But the information that I have gathered is completely free to give. It doesn't cost me anything.
Yep.
And you have no idea how it might change somebody else's future. It might change, you know. I mean, that guy that I'm talking about, he got his first deer and now he's elk hunting. Like, I helped create a hunter. And that to me, like, I changed that guy's life. I mean, and I don't mean that in an egotistical, like braggadocious way. Like,
you're just one of us now. Like, welcome to the club, like, man.
Welcome to the party, pal. Information is free to give. It doesn't cost you anything, and you're not losing anything by giving it. So I don't know where this mentality, and I do think the industry is taking a shift from it. But it used to be bad, man. It used to be like, well, these are my secrets. Like, I can't share them. And now the industry is getting a lot better about it. And that's why, like, I think Remy understands that. Like, Remy understands, like, man, just because they're my little secrets and tips and tricks, like, they'll still be my secrets. I mean, I can still use these tactics and these things that I've learned, but why not help inform other people? Like, it doesn't take anything away from my experience to do so.
Absolutely. I mean, and there's small stuff. I mean, it's burned in the culture, like turkey hunting. Like, you ask a turkey hunter, if you ask me, if you come in at the gate when I'm walking out and you're like, see any this morning? No, there's no birds in those woods. No, and darn well, you know, I just struck up a whole bunch of them in there. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, there was a lot of secret keeping and just gatekeeping to a lot of information. And it wasn't even like life-changing, like hunting life-changing information. They just wanted to gatekeep everything because they wanted to keep it to themselves and inflate, you know, their persona and their image. Where I agree. I think everyone's sharing more now.
Yeah.
And
because it really does, it benefits us all. I mean, I used to be, and I still am to an extent, like, if you're hunting the property right next to me, or like, you know, because one of my leases here in Kansas, every single edge of the property is hunted by somebody else. And so I am a little bit, because, like, I don't know if you know this deer is here. Like, I don't know if you've got pictures of him. I don't know if he's going to your property or not. I don't want you to know he's here. And if you do have him, like, I don't want you to know that I have him as well. You know, I don't want you to know that he's coming on me. And so there is still, to an extent, that, but then I realized, like, okay, if I do share information, like, it'll make us all better, you know, because, well, just recently, like, the buck I killed this year, I took my son, I came back home, got my son, and he came out with me, and we're pulling out, and there's a guy pulling in, and he hunts the property to the west. And, I didn't want him to know I killed this deer.
Yeah.
And my son from the back seat pipes up and says, my dad shot a big old buck. And I'm like, oh crap. You know, I was just saying, like, hey man, how are you? You know, doing well. Yeah. And he pipes up. And so he's like, whoa, what deer did you kill? And I'm like, oh crap. And so I popped the tailgate, and he's like, oh dude, I've got pictures of him, you know? And I'm like, dang, you know, anyways, but to an extent, like, there have been times where I didn't know a deer was still alive, and because they let me know, like, oh, I didn't lose that deer. Like, you know, he'll be back around eventually or whatever. And so there is a point where information sharing is good, but there's also a point where it's like, you know, I don't want you to know. I mean, we're hunting the same deer, you know.
I'm probably not going to tell you, like, the patterns I have on the deer on my property or something like that. But if it comes to, like, stuff that helped me in the past to, like, close the gap or seal the deal on a deer, or how to do something, absolutely. But no, I'm not going to share my trail camera footage with you.
No, I tell the neighboring guys all the time, like, man, listen, I have found that cologne works really well. You know, the more cologne, the better.
Go
take
fill up your truck
out there
before
with
you go out in the woods.
Yeah, fill your truck up. Deer actually, gasoline, they now have proven is an attractant. So make sure and get it on your boots. Like, so yeah, I share those tips with them all the time, man. And I want to be generous with that type of information for them.
Yeah.
They deserve to know that, you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cameron, man, thank you so much for coming on, dude. It's been an absolute blast. I can't wait to Can't wait to catch up with you at a show sometime and just hang out and do some videos together or something.
Absolutely,
and,
man.
or maybe I just need to make the trip down and have a content day with you.
Dude, thanks for having me. Shows this year, I have my first child on the way. My son's actually going to get here probably in the next 7 days. So
really,
yes.
Congratulations, bro.
Dude, thank you. That's why it's been a very busy time. I missed NWTF because just didn't know when he was going to get here or not. But it is looking like we're going to induce, right at 39 weeks. My wife makes huge children. So we're probably going to have ourselves an offensive lineman here in the next 7 days or so. And then I think I'm going to try and squeeze out for the World Deer Expo in Birmingham, Alabama, since it's pretty close to home and familiarity. I'll probably sneak out for that show and capitalize the best I can on turkey season this year. We'll have a newborn, so we'll see. So this year it's going to be calculated risk, calculated hunts this year,
I miss NWTF as well because turkey hunting's stupid, so I didn't go.
Dude,
I really do want to go to NWTF. It seems like an incredible show, but it seems to always fall at the same time as Western Hunt Expo, which is my favorite show of all time. So I got to go to that, man.
I get it. I understand. I can't miss NWTF, but yeah.
You planned your kids better than mine, dude. I'll tell you that. 9 months from Valentine's Day is the rut. I'll tell you that.
I'm the result of Valentine's Day. I was born in November, so
yeah. What really sucks, I had oftentimes said, I had said it on public platforms many times before my kid was born. If I could only hunt one day, like if you said, Dylan, you got one day to go kill a deer, I'm doing it November 7th. And I had said it several times. And sure enough, Harper Jean was born November 7th. And and so I'm like, great. And then my son was born September 2nd. So I'm always gone on an elk hunt for my son's birthday, and I'm always gone on Harper's birthday for a deer hunt. Yeah. Now, the benefit of that is when my son is old enough, like he'll always be on an elk hunt for his birthday.
Exactly.
So, what other kid gets to go on an elk hunt for their birthday every year?
Rip him out of school and go chase elk.
100%. I've told my wife so many times, I'm like, Chrissy, when Tucker's old enough, and he's getting to that point, he's 6. So like we do a ton of stuff together, but I'm like, when he's to that point, like you will never see us. Nope. Like we'll never be home. Like he's going to go to all the conventions with me. He's going to go on all, we're just going to do everything together and deer hunt, elk hunt, fishing, coyotes, turkeys. Like we're just going to do it all. We're always going to be going.
I hope my kid forgets more about hunting by the time it's legal for him to hunt than he does.
100%. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I can't wait, man. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, man.
They just had me do an interest day at their school. My wife's a teacher. So I came in, I brought some bows, brought some deer heads, and I asked the kids, I said, does anybody know how many deer? And they did them in groups. So like I did this all day long for like 9 hours. I'm just kidding. It felt like 9 hours. But so all day long, they're bringing these kids in. I was doing the same spiel over and over again. And I had asked every group, does anybody know how many species of deer in North America? And of course, you get crazy, like 1,412,000. And I'm like, no. Almost every kid guessed the deer that I had there. I'm like, they were both whitetails.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, are they reindeer? And I'm like, no.
Close.
Anyways, it gets to my son's group, and I'm like, does anybody know how many deer in North America? And I really didn't expect my son to know. He's 6.
Mm-hmm.
And so I let everybody else guess, but then I'm like, all right, Tucker, what do you think, bud? And he raised his hand. He's like, 5. And I'm like, what?
Bingo.
And I'm like, and I really didn't expect, I'm like, can anybody name another species of deer? And only one other kid did it all day long. One of the kids said mule deer. But Tucker was like, mule deer is another one. And I'm like, my gosh, dude, like,
awesome.
Sweet. Like, I've never even taught you this. Like, you just heard over the years.
In the corner, like,
yes. I'm like, boom, baby. Yeah. And then my daughter comes in and she knew absolutely nothing. And I'm like, great. Thanks. Well, she did. She actually, I said, does anybody know how many species of big game are in North America? And she did say 29.
Wow.
But she's heard me say that. I mean, that didn't really surprise me because
they're probably just they're sponges, man. They're probably just soaking it in from.
They really are, man. They really are. So give them something good to soak in. I'll tell you that, guys. That'll be the ending of this. Your kids are listening. They're paying attention to you. So A, represent hunting in a good way. Yep. But B, give them something good to soak in.
Absolutely.
There are very few things that I have with me every time I'm in the outdoors. Whether I am upland hunting, deer hunting, elk hunting, just out shooting my bow, out checking trail cameras, very few things that are always with me. One thing that I always have with me is my binocular harness. And I searched the world for what I felt to be the best binocular harness. In my opinion, there's a fine line in binocular harnesses. Either you get a lot of space for everything you need, but they're big, bulky, and heavy, or they're super streamlined and I just don't have space for everything that I want to have on my chest. Alaska Guide Creations makes phenomenal harnesses. Guys, I wear them all the time. I wear my harness probably every day at some point in my day. And so comfortability is important to me. The way that it stays put where I want it is important to me, but also having enough compartments and being able to move things around modularly to fit it where I want it is also really important to me. I want my rangefinder in a certain place. I want my knife in a certain place. I want my binos to fold out in a certain way. And with Alaska Guide Creations, they have a full line of binocular harnesses that you can make exactly how you want them. I can put different pockets right where it's going to work best for me and my system. Guys, Alaska Guide Creations is the best, hands down, in my opinion, harness you can get, and take it from a guy who pretty much lives in them. Go check out Alaska Guide Creations for your next and your last bino harness. Guys, thank you for listening. Y'all have a fantastic week.